73875 KTGR. The Big Show starts now.
You bet it does. Welcome into Tuesday's edition of The Big Show on your total sports station, KTGR. Andy Humphrey, Brendan Schaefer here. Got another day to talk about some Mizzou basketball and what the schedule will allow them to do. Is the path to the NCAA tournament still there based on what's left? We'll talk about it here in a bit. Of course, the line, not all that promising when it comes to Mizzou's chances on Wednesday night. See that Vandy's a 5.5-point favorite, Brendan? Yeah, that sounds right.
Hadn't seen that number, but I can't say I'm too surprised by it. Yeah, even at home.
We're going to talk here in a bit about the most navigable path that Mizzou has to still being in the NCAA tournament conversation, as they're 7-5 in SEC play. A lot of folks have said 10-8, probably what you need to get to. Can they get to that point by winning half their remaining games? We'll talk about it here in a few minutes. We'll talk some Cardinals too. Today we're going to predict the rotation, Brendan. Who will be the starting 5 pitchers that we see out of the gate in the first 5 games for the Cardinals? I assume it'll just be 5. I don't know if they're going to go 6-man to start out. I think probably 5. But how could it look? How could the bullpen look? In fact, the bullpen was kind of added to here recently. Guy claimed off waivers here. We'll see if he factors in. But we'll talk some Cardinals at 5:05 as well as spring training ramps up. We'll also talk about, the MLBPA president, Tony Clark, resigning.
Oh, boy.
Which there was a reason that was just reported by Jeff Passan about an hour ago that might be the real reason, but even if we didn't know about that reason, we probably thought, yeah, maybe it makes sense that he's resigning anyway. Not great for the Players Association, not great for people who want baseball next year. We're going to talk about that with the injury expert Will Carroll at 4:25. Brian Smith of Mizzou Wrestling is also going to join us at 5:45. And if you like chili, you should listen at 5:20. Because we'll give you a chance to win 2 tickets to the Rootin' Tootin' Chili Cook-Off this Saturday in Columbia, benefiting the Boys and Girls Clubs. If you are the winner of our trivia challenge at 5:20, we'll give you a pair of tickets to go to the Rootin' Tootin' Chili Cook-Off this weekend. So be listening for that at 5:20, 875-KTGR to call or text us. Tweet us at KTGR Big Show. We're live on YouTube right now, youtube.com/@KTGR Sports. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/KTGR Big Show.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
Yeah, Mizzou is a 5.5-point underdog, it would seem, according to the sports books, to start out against Vanderbilt tomorrow. Tigers trying to get off the mat after losing to Texas in pretty brutal fashion on Saturday. Vanderbilt comes in ranked number 19, so it would be a chance for the Tigers to take down a ranked opponent. Get started at 8 p.m. tomorrow with coverage beginning at 7:30 right here on KTGR. Mizzou baseball will play tonight in Florida, a true road game at Florida Atlantic. Tigers obviously coming off an offensive outburst on Sunday where they scored 34 runs. We'll see what the offense can do tonight as they look to get to 3-1 to start out the 2026 season. You can hear that on the KTGR app with coverage starting at 5:15. Mizzou baseball at Florida Atlantic, first pitch at 5:30. And that is the Big Show's Big Deal on this. Whoa. 17th day of February.
Bad. All that. It's like the sign at like the workplace, like the factory or whatever, like 0 days since the workplace incident.
Man.
Now we got to reset the counter. We were in the hundreds, surely. And now we just got to wipe it clean. It's back to 0 days since a date flub on the aftermath of the Big Show's Big Deal. You hate to see that. Had made such progress.
It's like losing Wordle.
That one wasn't even one that I can be like, no, it doesn't really count. No, that one was that's just a flub. They happen.
Yeah, I was even looking at my screen.
Yep, you had
it. The words did not come out.
Fumble.
In the truest sense, I tell you.
Yeah.
But there's always tomorrow.
Yep.
New streak starts now.
Yep. There we go.
That's what we're doing. 875-KTGR. Give us a call or a text. Mizzou trying to start a new streak also.
Yeah.
They're snapped on Saturday. Couldn't
0 games since a half that
you
maybe
turned
wanna
off
bleach my
before it
eyeballs.
ended, right?
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yep.
So
I
Mizzou
did do
and
that.
in a much more serious sense, trying to get back on track for what they hope is an NCAA tournament season. I know that's not the conversation. You want more. It is navigable though. There is a way forward for Mizzou with this schedule. It's just not going to be very easy. Maybe we try to carve out the easiest path to where they can find those 3 wins. Because I honestly think that no matter where the 3 wins come from, it's going to be impressive enough. You agree?
Yeah.
I think so.
I do agree with that. Like right now, I think I said this yesterday. If I had to guess, they're right around that first 4 out territory. But, one team tonight plays a game, loses, that bumps you in. Like I think they're that close to the field right now, even if I wouldn't predict them to be in it as of today. 3-3, when you talk about the number of quad ones and the number of ranked opponents and the number of teams that rank very, very highly in the metrics that you'll be facing, to come up with 3 wins against that group, you're going to beat somebody impressive, maybe multiple somebodies that turn some heads. Like, I don't think you can get through that without multiple quad 1 wins, even in a quote unquote lesser version of getting to 3-3, barring Oklahoma fading out. Even that road game is going to look like a quad 1 game, as they're 66th in the net, or at least they were yesterday. And that's top 75 road game. That's applicable. So yeah, you're going to have some impressive wins, Andy, if you get 3 of your next 6.
And even the Mississippi State one will be firmly in quad 2.
Yep.
So like if you talk about the quad 1 and 2 record put together, right now Mizzou's 6-8 there. If they finish 9-11, I think that's solid. There will not be a whole lot of teams that finish even that well.
And that's part of why I guess you can say, if you handle your business in conference play as an SEC school, you don't need a crazy non-con slate, because you're going to get a number of those games. But you do have to fare well in that conference slate. And look, they're 7-5 right now, and certainly opportunity to achieve that 10-8 record. And yeah, when Mississippi State is the lowest of the bunch remaining, and it's a game on the road, that's a challenging schedule. Some might say second toughest in the country remaining the rest of the season. So I feel good about 10-8 now. Would that change, Andy, if they go and however that would break down in Nashville, that they lose the opener and lose by 20 to a Mississippi State or an Ole Miss? Like, yeah, that would I would be feeling a little bit iffy at that point. But generally speaking, 10-8, I think, is the target that we're talking about here.
Yeah, that because the committee doesn't look at the conference tournaments anyway. So
hardly at all.
They don't move teams up, and
they don't
move teams down.
If you get blasted by a lesser team, kind of like they did against Texas on Saturday, not saying they're lesser, but if you had a similar result against a non-tournament team on a neutral site, would that hurt you? Maybe it would if you're kind of on that cut line. You would be here's what I will say. At 10-8 in a unsightly result in the opener in Nashville, you would be subject to some bid stealers. Like if it's a heavy bid stealy kind of year where like SLU doesn't win the A10, but they're going to be in, and maybe even like a Miami of Ohio runs the table until their conference championship game and they're 31-1 or whatever. Like that could end up being something that if you end up at 10-8 with a dud in Nashville, maybe then we're talking about, what does Selection Sunday look like? But for the sake of this conversation, I do think 10-8 gets you in.
So what's the most likely path there? Because Ken Pom says they're going to lose them all. Now,
okay.
I mean, they don't project that to be the record. They project the record to be 9-9 at the end because they allow for some margin for error with their head-to-head stuff. But yeah, every game right now,
you're less than 50% is what they're saying.
The best chance that you have at winning one of those games remaining is at Mississippi State. That is at 47%.
I agree with that, actually. I think that's about a coin flip, give or take.
But you need that game, right? Like I think you need it.
to have it.
Yeah,
you have to. And again, do you actually have to? No, technically you could win 3 of the other 5 and
Yeah.
go, wow, you lost a quad 2, but you won 3 quad 1 games. And then we'd be touting the quad 1 record a little more so than the quad 1 plus 2, right? If that were the case. But if they are a team that loses at Mississippi State, do we believe that they are a team that picks off 3 of those other teams? I don't happen to believe that personally. No.
Yeah, because that win being the easiest should allow you to be feeling good about the week after that, where you probably need to finish the job. Like, you will most likely need one of those 2 games the final weekend or the final week to actually seal this 3-3 record. So, like,
Yeah.
you talk about going 1-1 each week. It is intriguing though. Like, if Mizzou lost that game but went and got 3 wins out of the other 5, that means that their quad 1 only record is actually 500. They'd be 6-6. Like,
Yeah.
that is
Very good.
You got 12 of them, first of all. Like, that,
Yeah.
that's impressive in and of itself. But to win half of them is very strong. I think that one needs to be under your ledger though, and then you take your chances with the others. I think Oklahoma needs to be one too.
Ideally, it would be.
Not
Ideally,
even
it would be.
not
I'm
even
not
just for the quad 1 of it all, or the fact that they are a lesser team that is on your schedule and they're not making the tournament, but go and show that you can go win on the road.
Yeah.
Tourney committee looks at how many times did you go away from your building and win.
They got A&M and they got Kentucky.
Yeah.
But those are the ones that jump out.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to have one more, right? Like,
No,
that
it
you
wouldn't.
have left, you know?
It wouldn't hurt. I am not overly confident in that, though. And, like, even as a 5.5-point underdog, I almost feel better about tomorrow, which is, again, you will hear that and say, well, doesn't sound very likely that Missouri's going to pull this off. No, it does not. I would not predict them to make the tournament today. And I think it'll require something unexpected to do it if you're trusting the metrics, because the metrics have them as a sub 50% chance in all of their 6 remaining games. And so when I think about unexpected and like where they can surprise you, they can surprise you against a team like Vanderbilt that is built a little bit more similarly in terms of the size and has recent examples of maybe not putting their best foot forward. And yeah, I'm leaning on the Oklahoma game as that, and they almost came back and won that one. So it's not like this is just an opening that's real likely. I just feel like better about that one than I do most of the other ones, because I think the Arkansas matchup is going to be tricky. Maybe we get into the game and you're at halftime down by 3 and you go, hey, you're in it. But I could see both of those being ugly. And maybe I'm giving Arkansas too much credit. Like, they've had games where they haven't played great as well.
Yeah.
But that's the team that scares me right now. I don't know why. I just think their talent, they've got some talent on that team, and Calipari's a good coach. And it's kind of a rivalry thing. They're your last year of Trevin Brazil. Like, I just feel like they're going to be ready to play Mizzou in those games.
The most recent time that they have had some trouble at home was almost a month ago against LSU, where they only won by 4. And again, I think they've kind of exercised that a little bit, because they blasted Auburn, they blasted Mississippi State, they blasted LSU when they went and returned there to Baton Rouge. Like, it's a team that is going to be hard to deal with in that building. The building almost is more challenging. It's a
Right.
tough
Now,
building.
you do get the home game second.
Right.
That's the final game of the season. So if you like, what's probably going to happen though, Andy, like, knowing these Tigers, they'll show up to Mizzou Arena 9-8 for that last game, needing to win. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't it feel like that's just the way the
They're
direction
going
we're
to
heading?
lose the next 3 and then win the final 3 of the season to get to that mark?
Well, I don't know about lose the final 3. I'm still telling you, I'm thinking Vanderbilt could be a game that they're going to need here after the way the Texas game unfolded. I think I'll give them Mississippi State, and then I might not give them Oklahoma. Like, if I were picking a path, I would pick Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, and then maybe Oklahoma's, where, yes, that's a game that you're probably sub 50% to win, But as you're playing it, you know that your last chance is like if they're 9-7 going into Norman, you kind of look at that and say, this is probably our best chance, even though we get to play the next guys at home. Arkansas is going to be maybe even a national contender this year. So let's get this one. Like that feels kind of like the pressure that you could feel in the last week. So by the time we get to tomorrow's show, maybe I am predicting a win over Vanderbilt because I almost think they need it. And getting it doesn't guarantee anything either.
No,
is the trick of it all.
No, because they've gotten ranked wins before, and now they find themselves still right where they are.
Yep.
You almost need it to shake the stink off right away, because games like Texas could be the start of a spiral that you don't want to experience. And they experienced it almost this exact same time last year. This is where it started. And then
they just had a better cushion then.
Right, exactly. And so now you need to build it up some more. So yeah, it feels like the Vandy game tomorrow, while they won't be favored, and look, I think they're similar teams to the other teams that Mizzou will be hosting. It is one of those games that feels like, okay, well, we kind of know what we need, and the chances are dwindling, so let's not waste any of them. So the next one becomes more urgent.
And the toughest one is the following Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday, like if you're going 1-1 this week, you're winning tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take them out of anything, but I just think they're going to be hard pressed to go in, as we talked about, to Bud Walton and win. If
they do, well, shoot, that'd be.
If they do,
we're
we're talking about.
Yeah.
This is a roller coaster that we're just on, because the results have the possibility to dictate some surprising things. And honestly, that A&M result was surprising in a really good way, but they're not going to be 6.5 point dogs at Arkansas. It's going to be 10. It's going to be a lot more of an uphill climb. So could it happen? Sure. But I think you lose the Vanderbilt game. Are we supposed to sit here on Friday and preview the Arkansas game and go, it could happen? I think we're going to go, yeah, they're probably 0-2 this week. And you've lost every margin for error that you had. It gets dicey at that point. It really does. Yeah. So this is a team that I've spent most of conference play thinking they're going to be out on the outside looking in. And then for 3 days, I thought they were going to make it, but I didn't think that they were going to lay an egg Saturday night against Texas. That has happened. And so we're kind of back to square one, where I've got to see another A&M like upset in order to think I can project that 10-8 to happen, because it is a tough schedule. Yeah, the rest of the way. There's nothing that's a gimme, and the most attainable games are, road games. So take that for whatever you will.
Call or text us 875-KTGR. What's the most navigable path to the NCAA tournament right side for Mizzou basketball the rest of the way? James texts in, wins Vandy, Tennessee, at Mississippi State, and home against Arkansas gets us in. That definitely gets you in. Like if you get four of them, I think you're in. No question.
Yes, I would feel very good about that.
I think the wins, if they're getting to 3-3, they win tomorrow, and they win on the road at Mississippi State and Oklahoma.
I'm not going to say that they can't beat Tennessee at home. I mean, Tennessee's recent road results: 9-point win at Mississippi State, 3-point loss at Kentucky. They needed overtime to win at Georgia.
Yeah.
So like they're just as capable as anybody else of having a road game where they don't play that well. They lost by 24 at Florida back early in conference play. Yeah. So, if they don't bring their A game, Missouri wins that game. But you've got to find a win before that game happens. You can't be, I don't think you can go into that game
desperate.
What is it, a couple weeks down the road, week from today, and say, like, that's now a must win or our season's done. Like, that's a tough place to live. So Vanderbilt's a huge game. The Texas game was the most important game of the season. I maintain that. And now we're looking at why. Because when you know the result of the Texas game as a 17-point loss, you're scratching your head with your pencil doing some math going, uh-oh. Like it really ramps up quick here to find a way to find that path.
Yeah, that's the problem with how Mizzou's schedule set up. And now you have to find the best way to get the best of one of the home games that you have left. And this one, because it's the next one, and Mizzou is, look, they're a 5.5-point underdog. They were 6.5-point underdogs last week at A&M. It's like that's within a margin that Mizzou can overcome. We know that this year. Question is, what type of team will show up? Will they all of a sudden snap out of it, be like, okay, yeah, that Texas game, that was kind of a fluke. We're right back to where we were. We're rested. We have that extra day to come down from that. And now we can go out and attack this team at home without having to travel this past weekend and take care of business.
Man, it'd be fun if they could win this thing.
Yeah.
This is weird to be like in college basketball mode, previewing a game that's not even today. And I'm like, man, this one they've got to have. But that's how I feel about tomorrow night.
It does kind of feel with that type of urgency that Mizzou, I mean, it revitalizes them and then makes you see what's possible down the line.
Yeah.
You might even be thinking about, well, maybe Arkansas. I know you probably won't. But like, it's, if they beat Vanderbilt, you'll be like, let's see.
That's a real house money game following a big time win. A&M, unfortunately, they had Texas next, and that's not their house money game. Mizzou really needed that game. Didn't get it. Beat Vanderbilt and be one of the few teams to have done that this year. The Arkansas thing does become a little bit more house money because you'll know that Tennessee's around the curve. You'll know that you've got opportunities to impress by going on the road. The Vandy one unlocks, like, as a fan, a little bit of breathing room. I don't think the team can afford to have breathing room, but as a fan, you can look at it and go, okay, like, I don't have to overreact to the Arkansas loss if it happens the way most think it would. And then you come back and say Tuesday, hosting Tennessee, continue to defend home court. We said all along, you defend home court and you'll be okay. And I think this Saturday was really the first example where they didn't do that in a very loud and unfortunate way. Like, you lost to Georgia in overtime, but this one was like,
tough one. 875-KTGR. Give us a call or text. What's the most navigable path for Mizzou men's basketball to the NCAA tournament? With the schedule that they have left, where could you most likely see the wins that they need to get in order to stay in that conversation? Call or text us at 875-KTGR here on The Big Show. We're going to discuss some Cardinals baseball at 5:05. We're going to give you a chance. If you're a Mizzou Hoops fan, you'll have a chance to go through your knowledge and see if you can win our trivia challenge for Rootin' Tootin' Chili Cook-Off tickets at 5:20. So stay tuned for that. But up next, injury expert Will Carroll joins us. What now for the MLB Players Association after Tony Clark, their executive director, steps down amid a lot of troubles? We'll get to that with Will next on The Big Show.
Breaking down the Tigers, Cardinals, Chiefs, and more like no one else. The Big Show continues next on KTGR.
Hy-Vee invites you to the second annual Sip and Savor event, benefiting the Food Bank for Central and Northeast Missouri, February 21st at the Northeast Event Center in Columbia, with unlimited tastings of spirits, wine, craft beer, food, and a chance to buy some of the rarest bourbon in the country. Weller, E.H. Taylor, the infamous Pappy Van Winkle, and more. Tickets are just $70. Stop by the liquor department at any of your Columbia Hy-Vees to get yours today. February 21st. Sip, sample, and support a great cause. Only from Columbia Hy-Vee.
Brian Ware Plumbing has answered a lot of your calls over the years. And you've helped him grow his business immensely. So he wanted to take a second to say thank you. Oof, that was pretty emotional. We couldn't have said it better ourselves. So keep calling Brian to unplug your plumbing problems. BrianWarePlumbing.com.
You know your favorites. Now it's time to put them on the map. Nominations are open for Inside Columbia Magazine's Best of Columbia 2026. Now through March 1st. Nominate the businesses and places you love, including Best Pizza, Best Bar, Best Chiropractor, Best Insurance Agent, and Best Home Repair and Remodeling. You can nominate once per day, so come back and support the businesses you love most. Best of Columbia 2026 starts with you. Nominate today at InsideColumbia.net.
Honey, He says we're in legal trouble and we're going to lose our retirement. We have to get to a crypto ATM now.
This can't be right.
It's not right. I'm Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. We've received reports of devastating new scams involving crypto ATMs.
Let's report this.
We're here to help. Report suspected fraud at 800-392-8222 or visit ago.mo.gov.
Sponsored by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of Main Event Catering, and with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
With Steve, all I have to do is call. I tell him the problem, he takes care of it. That's the way I like it. A good player that can put it in the basket.
This is Coach Norm Stewart, so you should probably listen to what he has to say about Steve's pest control.
Yeah, during my tenure as a coach, I had a lot of ball players that weren't highly recruited, and that's not to take anything away from their talent, because when they got to Missouri, they became the best. They became the best because they worked at it every day. That's what you'll find with Steve. He works at it continuously. That's what Steve does. He's going to give you his best all the time. He'll take care of the bugs, believe me. He does for me in Columbia, and he does for me at the lake.
This is Steve with Steve's Pest Control. We're going to solve your pest problems. I guarantee it.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
Tired of calling Andy and Brendan? So are their wives. Then shoot them a text right now. 573-875-KTGR and become part of the Big Show.
We're back here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Andy and Brendan here as spring training is underway now. The games will start this weekend. And, of course, the Cardinals trying to get as healthy as possible for the start of this 2026 season. Here to talk all things injuries with us, the injury expert, Will Carroll. You can find his brand new podcast, which we'll ask about here in just a bit. But as always, undertheknife.substack.com is a great place to go to find all the insights into injuries in Major League Baseball as we get started with the year here soon. But Will, kind of an off-the-field thing that we're starting with today, and one that's could very much affect next year. Tony Clark resigning as the director of the MLB Players Association today. And obviously he had become a little embattled, been under investigation for some financial improprieties that are being looked into. What's your take, your read on this situation as you know, the players and the owners go into a pretty important negotiating year here, and now the players have to do it with a new leader, it seems?
Yeah, it's the timing of it that's rough, because obviously, you know, it's next year that we're going to likely see the stoppage, but it's now that you would hope to be starting the negotiations in earnest. There's already been a lot of posturing. There's already been a lot of discussions. We know Rob Manfred, the commissioner, went around to teams and talked about a salary cap, and that wasn't received very well. So we'll have to see exactly how it goes. We'll have to see how much the owners are willing to burn the house down, in Jeff Passan's words. But the other thing to keep in mind here is, well, this has largely been framed as a baseball story. This is the other sports too. They've taken all of the players associations, MLB, NFL, NBA, and NHL, and kind of put them into one office. I mean, it's one of those things where you think about it and you say, you know, they all do pretty much the same things. They could probably get some economies of scale. They might have overlapping functions where they could save some money. The interesting thing is it started out with one of the big investors, Redbird. They owned a part of the Red Sox. They own overseas teams. They've invested in a lot of things. They were trying to buy CNN recently. They got out of it, and more money came in from Arctos, which just got bought out by KKR. So you can see how convoluted this is. But this is a problem with kind of one of the off the field things that they did. You were right. The accounting of it is a little off. Maybe they were skimming a little off the top, which is what's being alleged. We'll see whether that's true. But the timing of taking Tony Clark out is going to be tough. But remember, he's not going to be the one in the room negotiating this. So we'll have to see. The bigger question is, this is a lot like when Michael Weiner died. Weiner, came up. He was beloved by the players. He was a negotiator before becoming the head of the PA. But when he died, he didn't really have somebody ready to step in because it was so unexpected. Tony Clark has done a solid enough job. The players like him enough to renew him. We're still with the status quo. I don't love the last CBA, but nobody did. So that's kind of the definition of a good negotiation. I'll be curious to see. I think one of the guys in position to be the next MLBPA head might be former pitcher Chris Capuano, who's one of the top executives there.
Could be very interesting to see it, and certainly will be a storyline as we head toward what 2027 looks like in baseball. But for 2026, the Cardinals, as Andy mentioned, trying to get healthy. Lars Nootbaar is an interesting situation, obviously. The Cardinals announced last week that he'll be a little delayed getting to camp, not necessarily due to a setback, but because of the progression he's on with the machinery he's using. They don't have it yet in the new Jupiter facility. What do you know about Nootbaar? And obviously, we're all targeting opening day, but with this recovery, is it something that's plausible for him to be ready?
Yeah, it surprised me a little bit that they didn't have an Alter G handy or at least nearby. I was at the Diamondbacks facility earlier this month and they had 3. So the Alter G treadmill is basically it's a little vacuum thing that holds you up and that you can take as much as 70% of a person's weight off and it supports you so you can run easier, not put as much pressure for Nootbaar on the heels that he just had cleaned up. So he is behind. I don't think that's going to be a ton. He is hitting in the cages. So I think they just elected to keep him where he is, make sure that he has that continuity of care and that he's ready for the last couple of weeks. I think that's what they'll look at. Worst case, he plays a couple of weeks in Springfield or Memphis and then comes back up, which teams don't hate when that happens because that means that's one less roster decision you have to make in camp. You can give somebody a few looks, see how they do in actual games before having to make a decision when Nootbaar is ready to come back.
Will Carroll, the injury expert here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. To another Cardinal that had an off-season procedure, trying to recover back for the start of the year, Ivan Herrera with the elbow surgery. He's already confirmed he's not going to do the WBC as he recovers from that, so he'll be in Cardinals camp the whole time. With him in his position, how they kind of moved him around last year, how do you view him as he probably still wants to be in the catcher spot, and maybe it's best case scenario for the Cardinals if his bat continues at that area. How do you kind of see them managing that as he tries to start out a catcher but might have to be malleable in some areas?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because obviously, if you've got a really good hitting catcher that's defensively, especially with the challenge system this year, we might well see all these guys who've made a living off framing the ball and kind of stealing a strike or two here or there. How valuable are they going to be if those get taken away now? With Herrera, I think he's a victim of a couple things. First is he's good, not great. He didn't lock everybody else out of that position. And this is a position where they've got a surprising amount of depth. They go a legit 4 deep. So in those cases, last year, Contreras, theoretically a catcher. This is one where, the depth helps. If you don't have a better bat at first base, that's where you put a Contreras. That's where you might put a Herrera. He's working out with the outfielders, so they're at least seeing whether that's a possibility. So they've got a number of possibilities, and they're just trying to find a way to get the best 9 bats in the lineup. You would think that a team in this situation would kind of have this sort of thing where they're mixing and matching rather than having a decided 9 or 1 or 2 position battles. So for where the Cardinals are, I don't think this is too bad.
Another Cardinal injury or situation that may be cropping up just in the last 24 hours or so Riley O'Brien, they're reporting from this morning, is dealing with some calf soreness. He's supposed to partake in the World Baseball Classic. The Cardinals will get more information on his status, but the calf may be something that could be holding Riley O'Brien back. Obviously, after the trade deadline last year, he kind of emerged as the Cardinals' go-to guy in the ninth inning.
Yeah, I think it probably surprises some people that haven't seen him that he might be playing for Team Korea. But I forget which parent was Korean. And, this is also a thing with Herrera. We're going to see a lot of this where a very minor injury, like what he's having, O'Brien is a lower body pitcher. He gets so much velocity out of his legs rather than his arm. I know that sounds weird, but you have to watch his mechanics. I think we're going to see a lot of these really minor injuries from guys in the WBC just because some teams don't want to see their guys go out. So if they come up with that calf, that thing's worrying me, I don't know whether you should go, we're going to see a lot of that. I mean, they're not faking these guys, aren't trying to get out of it. But we're going to hear more about minor injuries with WBC players now than we would with one of the other players.
Will Carroll, the injury expert here on the Big Show KTGR and the KTGR app. And one of the players that the Cardinals acquired via trade this year from Boston, Hunter Dobbins, is coming off, last year it was ended by an ACL injury, and he's been recovering from that. Might not be ready for the very start of the year, but once he's healthy, probably could factor into the Cardinals' pitching rotation at some point. How do you kind of see how he could wiggle himself in there based on where he is in his rehab?
Yeah, this was a known when he was traded. So this isn't something that is cropped up. He tore his ACL. It was a quirky injury. We don't see many of these. We see less of them for pitchers, but we have seen these fielding issues. Guys that go down, whether it was Kodai Senga a couple of years ago, pitchers popping an Achilles, trying to cover first base, to the point where I've talked to a couple of GMs and coaches and said, is it worth pitchers fielding? Should they just stand there and, should they be covering first? Should they be covering bunts? And, we've talked about that. It's just tradition, but is it worth the risk? It's tough to say because so many of these players, it's just reactionary. But I know there are some coaches. There's a local college here in Indiana high school here in Indiana, where very successful. But one of the things the coach has done for a long time is when there's a pop-up on the infield, he just has the pitchers run away. He doesn't want them involved in the pitch at all. And it's odd to see the first time, but once you get the logic of it, it makes sense. So I'm curious to see whether we see anything like that. But with Dobbins, he's on the road to recovery. It's a question of, is he going to be able to get his ramp up? That in modern pitching, you're going to need to go 6, 7, 8 deep. So he's definitely going to factor in. He's probably one of the 3 best pitchers they have in terms of just pure stuff. So I do think we'll see him sometime in April.
Will, when we spoke with you last week, we lamented the status of Francisco Lindor and the hamate bone going on. Since then, there have been multiple other players dealing with a hamate bone situation. Is there anything that you can tie to it and say that's a trend, or is that simply just coincidence that we saw that specific little bitty bone in the hand kind of take down numerous prominent position players over the past week or so?
No, this is just the fact that camps open on the same day. Lindor's was noted in his WBC physical and didn't even break. It was just a stress reaction, but they took it out anyway. Jackson Holiday, same thing. He had done it a couple weeks earlier, and they were waiting to see whether or not it responded to PRP injections. It did not. He had it pulled. And then with Corbin Carroll, he did his the day he got to camp. So these were actually 3 different teams, 3 different hitters, 3 different bats. So we can't say they're even using the same bat, and 3 different time frames. So this is just, hey, they all happened right at the start of camp because they announced it. They could have announced it 2 weeks ago when we say, oh, look, another one, but maybe it wouldn't feel like a cluster. I think it's the fact that we got them all basically in 24 hours of notice, that it's 3 very fantasy relevant players that we all know. Lindor is one of the best players in the game. So no, this is not an ongoing thing. What is an ongoing thing is bats. As long as there is a handle on the bottom of that bat, that hamate bone is going to bang up against it. Even on, check swings are where you get it more than anything else. That bone is weak. It's not built for this. and neither is the bat. So we're going to see these.
Will Carroll, the injury expert here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Let's finish with a football note, Will. Tyreek Hill being released by the Dolphins, first time in his NFL career that he's been an unrestricted free agent. And it's got some Chiefs fans at least eyeballing it, saying, oh, maybe. Look, for a guy coming off ACL himself and also the dislocated knee, he's 32. He relies on his speed. What do you make of what could be available, at least for Tyreek Hill at this stage in his career?
Yeah, it's the other stuff that worries me. There was patellar tendon involvement. There was a lot of meniscal damage. There was cartilage damage. There was some bony damage, plus the ACL. If it was just an ACL, I'd shrug my shoulders and say, we're used to those. We can do this. It's everything else. And the fact that Hill's one skill is speed. That's not a knock. It's a heck of a skill. If you're going to be a one-trick pony, have it be that good a trick. So how much of his speed can he lose and still be a great player? That's the question that nobody knows right now. He's still too early in his rehab to really know it. So now the question is, who's willing to take the risk? Who's willing to give him basically a non-guaranteed deal or a low guaranteed deal where he's willing to take it, where they can bring him in, and if it doesn't work out, it's no harm, no foul. It's a couple $1 million between friends. But if it does, you get him at a discount, and then he keeps it short, or it's one of those $2 million, $30 million option kind of things. I know the NFL can't do those, but structure in a way where both sides are protected. How much less is he willing to take to go to the team he really wants? I think that's what we're going to see. I do think the Chiefs are a great fit because they can take the risk. He doesn't have to come in and be the number one. They're not going to be great next year. It's going to depend on how much they reload and how quickly Patrick Mahomes comes back. And I think they're going to be exceptionally conservative with him, even though I don't think they need to be. So there's a lot of factors there. There's going to be a number of teams that are willing to take that sort of risk, but does he have comfort going back to Kansas City? Is there a team willing to pay him stupid money or just more money? It all comes down to risk tolerance.
Will, you can tell us what's new at Under the Knife, of course, but also tell us what's new for you in the podcasting world.
Yeah, Under the Knife, we've started. There's injuries, obviously, and tons of stuff. And I had a huge article out on Monday about the salary cap and how that changes the risk tolerance and risk management for injuries. It's really risk that's going to be the big change, not a salary cap, which I still don't think will come in. If you watch the NBA, they still have tanking. It's the same teams every year. The NFL, so many exceptions, so many cuts that you have to make. I don't think Major League Baseball wants to deal with that. But on the podcast, Injury Territory, you can check it out on YouTube if you want to see my pretty face, or you can check it out on whatever podcast platform you have. It's part of the Foul Territory Network, which I've been a part of for a while, going on their shows. And I'm excited about it, where we get to talk about injuries just like we do here.
That's awesome. Yeah, so you can hear more about Will Carroll talking all things baseball injuries over at Injury Territory. You can also read his stuff at undertheknife.substack.com. Great to have him here on the Big Show, KTGR. Will, thanks for coming on. Enjoy the rest of this week. We'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys.
Big Show is on at 4:45, KTGR and the KTGR app, and it's cool to see Will Carroll in the podcasting game. Very awesome. And his Under the Knife is a great thing to have at this point in time, too, with Major League Baseball getting closer and closer. I think we're going to have to talk more about this Tony Clark stuff, because at the time that we talked to Will, we did not know about the inappropriate relationship. Or at least
didn't know about that. That'll be a headline grab. No doubt about it.
So that coming up in Under the Boss, as well as Mark Cuban's solution for what the NBA should do about tanking. And his solution is don't get rid of it. Embrace it even. That's next.
Now, your local Sports Center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Mizzou baseball tonight. Tigers are playing a true road game in Boca Raton against Florida Atlantic. Mizzou took 2 out of 3 from Mount St. Mary's this weekend. finished it with a 34-run performance on Sunday. Tigers will look to get some good bats going against Florida Atlantic today. You can turn it on the KTGR app with coverage beginning at 5:15 and first pitch at 5:30. Mizzou Arena will be busy over the next few days. Mizzou men's basketball hosts number 19 Vanderbilt tomorrow with an 8 o'clock tip-off. Mizzou women's hoops takes on Auburn with tip-off at 6:30 on Thursday. And then the very next day, Mizzou Gymnastics has a quad meet that'll start on Friday night at 6 o'clock. And tune in tonight, high school hoops action on the KTGR YouTube and Facebook pages. Rockbridge and Hickman, renewal of the Providence Bull and boys basketball. Join us for that at 7:15. ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is with Billiards on Broadway, home to fresh hand patty burgers, fresh cut fries, a long list of Missouri beers on tap, pool tables, and huge TVs. Get to Billiards on Broadway in downtown Columbia. Low temperature tonight, 51. Tomorrow, a high of 69.
Ready for all the chili you can handle? The Rootin' Tootin' Chili Cook-Off, benefiting the Boys and Girls Club of Columbia, is rolling into the Wyndham Executive Center in Columbia on February 21st. Teams compete with their best bowls of chili, wild costumes, and decked-out booths. Bring your appetite, vote for your favorites, and find out who wins. All in support of Mid-Missouri kids. Don't miss the Rootin' Tootin' Chili Cook-Off, Saturday, February 21st. Grab your tickets now at ktgr.com or the KTGR app.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for Advanced Tree Solutions. Wintertime is when your trees are barren, obviously. No leaves yet. We'll get to that very soon, but you still need to be aware of how your trees are growing during this time, especially if they're hanging over those power lines, right? That can be dangerous. And so now that there aren't leaves on the branches yet, now's a good time to get tree pruning done so that they can be safe once we see that growth back. Eric and his team at Advanced Tree Solutions, they are excellent to work with. They've come to my yard before, taken a tree out that was dead. They're honest, upfront, and trained, and they know exactly how to take care of your trees. Because, look, the power company's not going to know how to do it. Most lawn services, they don't know how to really take care of them. Eric and his team does. Go to advancedtreesolutionsllc.com. You can contact them to book for tree pruning and also look at the other services they have so that you can get ready for springtime at advancedtreesolutionsllc.com. Give your trees the care they deserve with Advanced Tree Solutions.
My name is Taylor, and I have had insurance with Phyllis Nichols and her team for over 9 years. A auto claim came when my wife was rear-ended. Everyone was safe, but that left a lot of cosmetic damage on her brand new car. We called Phyllis, said, hey, this is what happened, and she made it a very streamlined process. Phyllis lined out our rental car and made everything just so easy. And having 3 kids and losing a vehicle is a big deal, but Phyllis went to bat for us, got everything lined out, and made it a very easy process.
Okay, sure. We could hire a pilot to fly one of those skywriting planes to write our name in the sky. We could even add fireworks or a guy in a gorilla suit. Or we could just do what we've always done at shopmidmo.com. Offer you amazing deals from Mid-Missouri's best local businesses. Half off dining, entertainment, self-care, and more. Tell you what, we'll skip the skywriting. You skip paying full price. Visit shopmidmo.com.
Shopmidmo.com. Shopmidmo.com.
Step into a real-life snow globe with Zimmer Communications and Colette Travel on this 9-day European vacation. Stroll Prague, Dresden, Vienna, and Budapest. From castles and cathedrals to twinkling market stalls. Sip warm Glühwein, shop handcrafted gifts, and even visit a family-run candy workshop. Learn more by joining us in Colette Travel Tuesday, March 17th at 5:30 at Courtyard Marriott Columbia on Lamone Industrial Boulevard. RSVP today at ZimmerCommunications.com.
Columbia has a lot of great neighborhoods, a lot of beautiful neighborhoods, and you can't replace or build new homes there, but they're aging and the homes are getting to an age where they're needing maintenance. And one of the biggest things that we see coming over probably the next decade is need and demand for window replacement. So as your home approaches 15, 17, 20 years old, you're probably going to notice some drafts. You're going to notice some locks that don't quite lock anymore. Maybe some condensation in the windows on the inside, outside, or between the panes. There's a variety of things. Or maybe you just drive up to the window and it's got rotten wood or a really faded exterior. But either way, at about that time frame, these windows kind of end their life cycle. And so we want to be prepared to be the ones that you call, when you notice that and you want a solution for it. The difference between a house and a home is the attention to detail. At True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, we'll turn your vision of a dream home into a reality. For more information or a free estimate, go to TrueSunExteriors.com.
TrueSunExteriors.com.
If it's Mizzou sports, it's happening here. Now, back to the big show on KTGR.
Well, Tony Clark, obviously, MLBPA executive director, had already been embattled with the whole financial impropriety thing. That's, if it's all found true, it's probably enough for him to step away anyway.
Right.
Apparently, though, Jeff Passan of ESPN first on it, there is also apparently an inappropriate relationship with a sister-in-law that Tony Clark was allegedly involved with too.
And the sister-in-law was also recently brought in and had a position with the PA.
Yeah, that too.
I saw.
Yeah,
So
hired a couple years ago.
you're with it. That's not just like a weird personal thing. That is also kind of within the tentacles of the organization itself.
So now Players Union doesn't have a top leader at the moment going into a very important negotiating year. TikTok with
yeah,
with the days before the CBA ends. I really don't know about next year, man.
It's not looking good, is it? I mean, this obviously doesn't serve the players well that this is happening at the timing that it's happening, because you need good leadership going into what we already knew was going to be a battle. And now, you have this coming up where can you even feel like they're going to be in a very good spot with their leadership? It was going to be a tough one as it was, and now you've got this scandal.
So Tony Clark, I mean, maybe if you find a stronger leader, it helps the players union and they're able to, circle the wagons and get something done. But we just have to wait and see who takes over. Yep. Should we evaluate the Mark Cuban comments?
Okay.
Whether it's under the bus or not?
Sure.
He said that the NBA, the tanking problem isn't a problem. In fact, teams should embrace tanking. And I think I wouldn't have said it that way if I'm Mark Cuban. Of course, in Mark Cuban's position, he didn't really care. He only has a minority stake in the Mavs now.
Right.
He's not really the main dude there.
Yeah, you can kind of say stuff.
Exactly. He can just tweet all he wants, and he is verified, so he can tweet literally as long as he wants to. But I think it was coming from a place that isn't bad. Like he was saying in the context of, look, first of all, the NBA fines you if you are honest about your team tanking. Like if you say that you're tanking, then they hit you with $500K, $1 million here.
Right.
So maybe that should go away, and teams should be open and honest about what's happening. The second part of it is okay, focus on the fan experience. Families who just want to bring their kids to the game and have a good time, they don't care whether your team's good or not or what the final score was.
The playoffs,
they just want to have a good time at the game, and that's ultimately what the health is. And look, I get all that. I'm not saying it's bad. I would also say, well, the health of your franchise, the majority of your revenue, I don't think comes from the gate anymore. I think it comes from TV deals and media rights and everything like that. And that does get affected by how good you are. So yeah, it's not to say just overtly tank.
And those fines come from when you have a chance to win a game, and then suddenly your best players didn't play in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Like the Utah Jazz have been doing this. Yeah, you should be fined for that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm actually not that sorry. But Mark Cuban and I obviously come from different roles on this. As an observer of the league, he's got the vested interest. He's wrong, but he's wrong, and we understand why he's wrong, because he's got a stake in it and sees it differently.
Well, they should. Embracing tanking is not the solution. Is there ways to say that you're doing it without saying that you're doing it? I don't think teams need to be required to do that. But yeah, play your best players. Don't just rest them because you're trying to lose. And then, maybe we can get to a happier place. I don't know. We'll see. This is pretty cool. Old friend alert. Jeremiah Tillman is part of the Team USA squad that is going to be the qualifying team, or the team that goes to the qualifying round for the FIBA World Cup. That's the basketball World Cup that'll happen this summer, or I think next year, but this is the year that they qualify for it. And obviously, big NBA names, they're still in season, so it's names that maybe aren't with teams right now or aren't being all that important to those said teams. Jeremiah Tillman, though, gets a chance, though, and that'll be cool to see on the international stage for him to be playing.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously that's kind of the nature of those competitions. And so you're going to have some guys that get an opportunity like that. And it's a great one for him.
So good luck to him. Hopefully he's able to create an impact for that team wearing the American uniform. And we'll see if he can represent Mizzou well there. We're going to predict the Cardinals rotation next at 5:05. We're going to give away some Rootin' Tootin' Chili Cook-Off tickets at 5:20. Stay tuned for that. And Brian Smith, Mizzou Wrestling, joins us at 5:45.
Word gets around. And at Lee's Tire Company, that's why being around for you is more than just a catchy jingle. It's how they stay part of the community. We took a look and everything seems to be fine. That new set of tires is all you need. That's the Lee's Tire way. No pressure, no suspicious upsells. Just honest work done right. So whether it's tires, brakes, or a quick checkup, trust the shop that's always round for you.
Lee's Tire Company is round for you. Ooh, see Lee's.
Hi, we're Midway Electric. Late winter is the smart time to take a look at your electrical system before spring projects and new power demands put extra strain on it. If your panel is outdated, breakers trip often, or you're planning major upgrades, now is the time to make sure your system is ready. From panel upgrades and repairs to efficient lighting and future-ready electrical solutions, Midway Electric helps keep homes and businesses safe, reliable, and prepared for what's next. Midway Electric, powered by people with pride. MidwayElectricInc.com.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of main event catering. And with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up to 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
Your foresight is so good, you can practically see into the future. But fortune telling isn't the career path you want to take. Instead of predicting people's futures, you can help build them at Fuse 32. Because you recognize things before they can even become problems. You love the thrill of success and getting paid for it. All that's left to do now is look into that crystal ball and see yourself on the sales team at Fuse 32. There's nothing we can't do. Apply now at Fuse32.com.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, in Missouri's total sports station. KTGR Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Major League Baseball Players Association Executive Director Tony Clark resigned today after an internal investigation revealed an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law, who the PA hired in 2023. The union's probe came in the wake of a wide-ranging, still open federal investigation into the union's finances and other alleged improprieties. NBA Celtics forward Jason Tatum continuing to rehab from that torn Achilles, practiced with Boston's G League team last week. Still doesn't have a timeline for a return, but there's no need for Tatum to rush back for the Celtics, says ESPN's Danny Green.
They are a great group. Are they contenders right now? Yes. But will they win a championship this year with him? I don't see it. I think the chip still stands in the West or one of those other teams. But they, Jaylen Brown could be making a different case for that. But to me, it's like, there's no rush for him to come back right now because I don't just see them as a championship team just yet. But it'd be cool to see him come back for his own individual challenges to show the world, this is something I can get over.
North Carolina star freshman Caleb Wilson inching toward a return soon from a fractured hand. Out again tonight against NC State. Tip-off in an hour on ESPN.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business's needs. From quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options. Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
From Faro. 15 to the 10 to the house. Push. Back to the wall. And it's got her. and Arrowhead.
Touchdown! Kansas City!
To your speakers.
This is the big show, baby.
Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brendan on KTGR.
Well, baseball, it's not quite in the air just yet, but it's getting there. It's getting closer. The season is approaching, and that means prediction time. We'll start here in a couple of minutes by going the St. Louis Cardinals route of predicting the rotation. Maybe some of those key bullpen roles as well, as the Cardinals do have some sincere competition when it comes to their pitching staff this spring. We will discuss that topic coming up. You can let us know which pitchers are you excited to see for the Cardinals this year by giving us a call or a text, 573-875-5847. We'll also talk before we get out of here today with Mizzou wrestling coach Brian Smith. That conversation coming up a little bit closer to 5:45. All that coming up and more. But first, it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the Top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
So for tomorrow's Mizzou men's basketball game, Vanderbilt's a 5.5-point favorite. And look, Mizzou's within the margin to flip that in their favor, obviously. Tigers went on the road to Texas A&M as a 6.5-point dog and were able to get the win there. Now, obviously, it was just a 1-point win. You'd like to see maybe Mizzou taking care of business a little bit better, but it's going to be tough against the Vandy team. However tough it might be, though, maybe it's the one that Mizzou kind of needs to get based on the rest of the schedule. I mean, you should win at Mississippi State. You think it's one of the easier games left. At Oklahoma, it's going to be tough. That's a quad 1. Tennessee, Arkansas are other home games. With this one here, Vanderbilt seems like the team that you need to pick off just to wash off the stink from the Texas loss. We'll see if they can get it done tomorrow night at 8 o'clock on KTGR.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
MLB Players Union needs a new top leader as Tony Clark resigns. There was an investigation ongoing about some financial wrongdoing, potentially within the organization, but also an inappropriate relationship has been uncovered as well, according to Jeff Passan of ESPN. Tony Clark allegedly involved with a sister-in-law that was also employed by the union. So that's not great. And now the Players Union needs a leader going into a huge negotiating year. Baseball in 2027, I think, still very much in jeopardy.
Number 3.
In about 10 minutes, you can hear coverage beginning on the KTGR app for Mizzou baseball at Florida Atlantic. Tigers trying to make it a 3-1 start to non-conference play as they continue their trip over in Florida. They played a neutral site series against Mount St. Mary's. Yeah, they lost that opening game, and that was tough to see. Bounced back, got the next 2, including 34 runs on Sunday. See what it looks like in what is a true road game. They're in Boca Raton. They'll return to Fort Myers for another neutral site series this weekend. We'll see how Mizzou baseball does tonight. 5:30 over on the KTGR app is when first pitches.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
Mark Cuban says the NBA should embrace tanking. Well, Mark Cuban can say what he wants. There's obviously reasons why he says what he wants on that part. He still has a minority stake in the Mavs. Look, I get it. You want to focus on creating a fan experience, and tanking may or may not really matter towards that. But let's not embrace tanking because, well, don't just rest your good players.
Number 5.
What did the 5 fingers say to the face?
I showed great restraint, and I did not include it under the bus. Houston basketball getting screwed by a phantom kickball.
That's The Big Show's Top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
875 KTGR if you want to call or text us.
You want to say a little more about that?
I mean, that was it. I could have put it under, but I did not. I decided to withhold until the top 5 at 5. Did you see it though?
I didn't.
The ball hit the guy's hand, and they called the kickball.
No, I'm so sorry that happened to you directly.
Come on.
Poor
and
guy.
then that leads to Iowa State hitting a 3, and they go on this like 17-4 run at that point to win the game. Like, that's where it turned. And yeah, I'm irked.
Iowa State is a wagon. I mean,
they awesome.
Dispatched Kansas and Houston within the same little stretch there.
That is an awesome team over there. Like, they are dangerous.
I can't believe how bad they beat Kansas.
Yeah.
The other day.
Yeah, you had Kansas.
I know.
That should have counted as like
So
5
stupid.
losses
It should
towards
have.
picks of the week, but no.
It should have. Yeah, that was dumb.
Hey, it's strong officiating last night. Houston probably wins, but yeah. That's
Poor
all I
fella.
got to say on that. Look, Houston is to me as SLU is to you.
As SLU,
Let's come
I
on.
knew you were going to say that.
Let's be honest here. Like we got our local secondary allegiances here.
Yep.
But yeah, no. It's about to be March, and that will probably eventually be what I will be invested in come late March.
Maybe SLU is all I'll have too.
I mean, probably.
There have been some bracketologies that have that matchup happening in the second round potentially, Mizzou and SLU. I don't know if you've seen any of that, but like for a while CBS was showing that, and it's theoretically plausible and it could happen in St. Louis.
Yeah, do they have? That's my next question. Do they have it happening in St. Louis?
There have been examples of that project SLU and Mizzou to be in the same little pod there in St. Louis. So,
oh boy,
Mizzou's got some work to do though.
Yeah,
before I can consider that possibility.
Yeah, gotta make sure that you win 3 of the next 6 to even be talking about it. 9-9 won't get you there, I don't think.
Nope, I don't think so either.
But we'll see. Next chance tomorrow night against Vanderbilt, 8:00 tip-off. We'll see if the Tigers can get it done there. If you are a Mizzou Hoops fan, then you'll be interested, I'm sure, in the trivia question coming up at 5:20, and you'll get a chance to win some Rootin' Tootin' Chili Cook-Off tickets if you are the winner of our trivia challenge coming up in just about 10, 12 minutes or so. 875-KTGR. Give us a call or a text if you want to join the conversation. In the meantime, let's talk Cardinals and predict what the starting rotation will be for this year's team. And maybe even how the bullpen rules will shake out this year. Do we want to just start by saying, okay, what's your prediction for opening day starter? Just
Matthew Liberatore.
I agree.
Will be the opening day starter.
You think they should just announce it now and be like, look, guys, yeah, we know. Matthew Liberatore.
I mean, he's the first guy to go in the Grapefruit League. They've already said that.
Yeah.
It's going to be him, barring health. There's just not a lot of other candidates, and he's experienced, and I think they want him to kind of assume that role and that mentality of being the ace or the top dog and kind of take that on. And I think he's got a chance to do it. I'm excited to see what he brings to the table this year. But yeah, I think he's the one that'll get the ball first.
Yeah. Seems like when you get, I don't know if he'll be the most effective starting pitcher this year. He's got a chance to be. You do like to have somebody that has been with the organization a little bit taking on that role too. I'm not saying it's all ceremonial, but
that or somebody that you brought in to be exactly that. That's
sure,
why they acquired Sonny Gray. I mean, that was with that exact thing in mind. We need a number one. They didn't sign Dustin May to be a number one. They signed him because it was a good fit. But Liberatore under the current circumstances is the guy that makes the most sense.
So Liberatore, I'd maybe say McGreevy second, right?
I think if you're doing the game of ranking the prominence or the performance of the guys, McGreevy, I think I have the next most faith in. I think Dustin May will probably go second though.
Okay.
It's also potentially going to depend on matchups. That's where it's when we get into the season and we talk about the way guys are performing, we say, oh, he's like a number 2. The actual order doesn't matter until you get to October.
Right.
And I'm including in March in that, in April in that. I don't really think it matters who they decide to have go second. It may be for reasons other than performance. But I think McGreevy is the guy that you're hoping is going to be their second most effective starting pitcher this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's in the rotation too. That's another caveat of this conversation is which guys are
making it.
Whose spots are actually up for conversation and whose are set in stone. McGreevy's is set in stone. He cannot miss this rotation barring an injury.
Yeah. He's in, Dustin May's in, and Andre Palante's in.
Andre Palante is not in. Andre Palante is going to have to earn it.
Yeah.
I hope he makes it because I hope he has a good spring and shows them what they want to see. but I'm not so sure that it's gonna come that easily. He may luck out in that they've got 7 guys for 5 spots the way that I see it, and one of them's coming off of an ACL, and another one of them could have an arm injury because it's spring training, and that's what tends to happen. Didn't last year for the Cardinals, and so maybe it doesn't this year. But I would say Hunter Dobbins is the guy coming off the ACL, and he's supposedly, making his strides. But will he be 100% ready to compete for an opening day roster spot, or will he be a little bit delayed? Is something that I think I'd be watching as it pertains to the conversation about, making the rotation. And so and I'm not going to include him in my prediction here, just because I don't really know until he's cleared health-wise that he's on even footing with everybody else. I would say that Palante is not, to me, the next most likely to make the rotation. Do you want to know who I consider to be the next most likely to make the rotation?
I think I'm going to guess that I'm going to guess you're going to say Kyle Leahy.
I am going to say Kyle Leahy. I think it's more likely that Kyle Leahy's in the rotation than Palante is. I think Palante is competing for the last available spot with Dobbins, who's recovering and is recovered, but it's like, can he do the fielding?
Can he ramp up?
We talk with Will Carroll about this. Like you're getting to the nitty gritty, but like that's the question when it comes to him. And Richard Fitz, who has big league experience, and they acquire him in one of those deals with Boston. Dobbins came over in the other trade. I feel like it's kind of down to Palante, Fitz, and I will say Dobbins has just as good a chance as any if he is cleared and is ready to ramp up when games begin. But I think it's kind of a 3-man race for the last spot. I think they want Leahy as a starter to become a thing, because I think when you're imagining 2-3 years down the road, it's not to say that you're imagining Kyle Leahy in the rotation and that's the world we're going to be living in. But I think of the 4, if I put him in a category with the other 3, I think Leahy's got the most upside to have that be an answer for his future and his future with the Cardinals. I think they really like Kyle Leahy. I think he's a fixture. I think he's got, they've got team control over him. They're impressed by his demeanor, the way that he's gone about things. So, yeah, I think if he has a requisite spring, it's his job to lose rather than something he has to earn. And I view it the opposite with Palante, where it's like, hey, you were there toward the end last year because we didn't really have anybody else, but we've made some trades. We've made a signing. Yeah, we got rid of Sonny. Yeah, Miles Michaelis is a national. But I feel like Palante is really going to have to show something in spring to legitimately beat out the other guys in a heads-up competition for the last spot.
I think you're right, because it was kind of hard to watch from his end down the stretch, knowing that he had a rotation spot. He had the ability to continue to show to this Cardinals organization, like, yeah, this is what I'm worth. But yeah, I think they had to be a little more aggressive in throwing darts at some other guys that you could throw into this rotation, because of how not only that you knew, probably moving on from Miles Michaelis, probably shaving another spot with Sonny Gray being the trade, but the fact that there's ineffectiveness still across the board that you can't really rely upon at the moment. And so, yeah, Liberatore, sure thing. McGreevy, I don't know if it's a sure thing, but like, you're going to find out about Michael McGreevy. Like it's fair to find out about him because of his stuff and because of his potential. We have thought about, Andre Palante has really done well in past years to carve out this role, but now it's starting to be a little bit shaky. And I don't know if the Cardinals should be in the business of keeping around shaky guys that, look, scraped and clawed to get to that point earlier, but now, like, you're turning a new page. And so I think you're right. It's one where you're evaluating. You're not taking the spot away from him, but it has to be him outperforming at least Richard Fitz, right? Because I don't think Dobbins will be ready opening day.
And I don't know if that's true. Like, tomorrow they could tell us, just kidding, he's starting game 2. And we'll go, okay, he's starting game 2 of Grapefruit League. Guess he's ready. But yeah, And I think if they both, let's say that's the case, Dobbins is a little bit delayed, but they're excited about him and they can start him with that kind of rehab track where he's in AAA and he's not imminently going to be promoted, but he's like, gets to stretch it out and make sure his legs are under him. And it's like both Palante and Fitz have a 4.5 ERA in spring. I don't know. They'll pick somebody.
Yeah. Right.
But that's where it's like, I asked, and you can't read too much into these things necessarily, but the other day typically they do like a media availability with all the managers that are in the Grapefruit League area, or not even that. Yeah, I guess all of Florida is considered Grapefruit League.
Yeah.
And so all the Florida teams, whether it's Gulf Coast, Atlantic Coast, like they'll all meet up at one site, and it's been in Palm Beach before. The Cardinals have had hosted it before. And you get a chance to talk. They did it over Zoom this year, and I'm here in Missouri, so I was part of it. And Ollie, I asked Ollie, one of my couple questions was asking about Palante, because he had was asked by Mike Claiborne, what's he most excited about? And he started rattling off a bunch of names in the rotation just to kind of see that competition. And then I asked about Palante specifically, and the answer I got was more about the group, and he is within that group. And so that's not to say that that's they're not keying on him, but I do think it's incumbent upon Andre Palante to win the job. And he has performed in the past. 2024, he was their statistical best starter once he joined the rotation at the end of May. So he's capable of doing it, but I think he's going to kind of have to do it. Otherwise, that may not just be a foregone conclusion. Yeah.
So what's the Cardinals rotation going to be? Call or text us with what you think, 573-875-KTGR. So would you predict that he beats out Fitz, or is it Fitz?
I'm going to predict Palante because I think it's also easier to option Fitz and Dobbins. Palante, I think, is making more money, which is, again, not a reason to win a job, but it could be a tiebreaker. And he's an incumbent because he's been on this team already. Both those other guys have 2 options apiece, so they're both eligible to go down. Palante is too. He's got an option, but he's making $3.5 million. I think unless Palante flames out in spring training, which I've seen guys do down there, I think Palante would be my early lean, but that's my least confident of any of the spots, is to say Palante over. And for those who are listening going, well, what about Quinn Matthews? What about some of these other guys? Matthews is maybe the one that I think they'll get a look at in spring that could conceivably, when they start spring, everybody's a starter and everybody's in big league camp, and then they whittle it down. He's one that if he can have a couple of good impressions, maybe he sticks around longer than you expect, but I don't think he can wedge his way in, barring injuries ahead of him, right? And maybe 2 is all it would take. Of the 7, maybe one of them's already got the ACL and 2 more get hurt, and Quinn Matthews is pitching great, then maybe he's in that opening day rotation. But I think it would take something like that to get him in.
All right. Then what about the bullpen? Who's the closer?
Well, I would have told you 12 hours ago, Riley O'Brien. Now Riley O'Brien has calf soreness.
That's great. Yeah.
And we don't know. We don't even know the extent of that. Is it a deal where it's it's a little iffy, but we're going to just hold you out of the World Baseball Classic, or ask that you don't participate so that you can be ready for the season? He gets the 9th when it's a good matchup for a righty to do so. Jojo Romero will be eligible to pitch the 9th, the 8th, whenever they have a good lefty lane late in the game. He's their go-to left-handed reliever. And those roles, health assumed, are going to be intact. Beyond that, Matt Swanson, I think, is the next most prominent reliever, and he's a closer option if Riley has this calf issue develop into something more. Matt Swanson could be interesting, but I think my ideal version of their bullpen to begin the year is to have Swanson in the Leahy role, where we saw it a couple of times last year where he was throwing multiples, and that's not something he had ever done before, but he's got some chops. I like Matt Swanson. So those are your 3 most prominent guys.
Ryan Stanek is in there, I think, too.
And he's kind of that Maton role, and you're trying to capture lightning in a bottle for really the 3rd straight year. Kittredge, Maton, and now you're hoping to be able to do it with Ryan Stanek. And I think he's 7th, 8th inning eligible for sure. In a pinch, you could throw him in the 9th inning. That's kind of your 4-pack of guys that I think there's some real degree of faith in. And then you kind of branch out from there and talk about guys maybe that have options or that are your middle relief core. The one caveat I'll offer is George Soriano, the guy they traded for, and they gave up Andre Granillo to get him. George Soriano does not have options.
So he's making this team. he's going to be on the roster.
Barring a bad spring, I think he's in the bullpen to begin opening day. But how long is that leash? It could be easy come, easy go. I know you might think, well, they gave up Granillo. Granillo's a promising young arm. I don't think they thought he was. I just don't think they thought very highly of him, and that's why you make that deal. It's interesting. Soriano has been on 5 teams since November. Everybody else just claimed him. The Cardinals tried. They won too many games last year. The other 3 teams that successfully claimed him since November won fewer than 78 games. So the Cardinals just were behind those teams in the waiver order. Eventually they said, enough of it. We're going to have to drop somebody off our 40-man anyway to do it. Let's just trade Granillo and we'll actually get him rather than having to just hope we get him on waivers again. So, and you mentioned Zach Kent, or you alluded to him earlier in the show, righty reliever that they claimed. They had claimed him in December, lost him in January, and now he's back. They DFA Brian Ramos, who they had claimed 10 days ago. So they're doing some musical chairs with the bottom of the roster, but that's just another guy who's got some optionality and is intrigued. Are we missing it? Who's a name for the bullpen that we should bring up?
Gordon Graceffo.
Okay. Yeah. I think he is probably is a good answer, is positioned into life as a reliever and another candidate for the Leahy role. Would love to see Graceffo be kind of penciled in.
Yeah.
And so that gets you to 5. Soriano would maybe be 6. And other guys on the 40-man include Matt Bouchard, who they picked up this winter. Nick Rackett is a left-hander. You probably want a second left-hander in
Ryan Fernandez.
Ryan Fernandez exists on a
Chris
plane
Roycroft.
of being. Chris Roycroft exists on a plane of being. Justin Brule, I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think he makes
if
it.
we're talking about a lefty, you're talking about Brule and probably just on the 40-man presently, Rackett as like 2 guys competing to be the second lefty, unless they go out and get somebody different. You've got guys like Bryson Motts, but I think they'd rather keep him as a starter. Cooper Jerpy, same thing.
Yeah.
Prospects who are starting pitchers. So yeah, I think you kind of know about 6 of them, and maybe the 7th is Roycroft or Fernandez or a Bouchard if he can win a spot, and then the 8th is probably you want to have a second lefty out there, and that's your general outline of your bullpen.
So we'll see what the Cardinals line up with, but call or text us with what you would predict the rotation to be, what you would predict the bullpen to look like. You're on the Big Show, KTGR, and the KTGR app, 573-875-KTGR. All right, let's get to this. We have some tickets to give away. Rootin' Tootin' Chili Cook-Off tickets, 20th annual Rootin' Tootin' Chili Cook-Off to support the Boys and Girls Clubs of Columbia. It's going to be this Saturday, 2 to 6 p.m. at the Wyndham Executive Center, formerly the Holiday Inn Expo Center in Columbia. You can buy tickets in advance for just $20 and save, as opposed to buying them at the door. Kids 13 and under get in free. There will be a kid area there that they got a bounce house last year and some kid games. So it'll be fun for the family and all the chili, of course, that you can sample, and be sure to check out all the cool booths and prizes that they got. So you can go buy tickets at ktgr.com, or you can win them right now if you are one of the winners of our trivia challenge. I'm going to have 2 winners here. First 2 people to text us the correct answer to this trivia question get 2 tickets to the Rootin' Tootin' Chili Cook-Off this Saturday. The question is, on Mizzou men's basketball, just this year's team, this current team, who is Mizzou's current leader in total assists? Total assists. Who leads Mizzou so far this season? If you know the answer, text it to us. 573-875-KTGR. First 2 to text in the correct answer get a pair of tickets to the Rootin' Tootin' Chili Cook-Off this Saturday. Good luck, everybody. We'll talk more about the correct answer there, and also talk about whether the ABS system in Major League Baseball will actually improve the experience, the game. We'll get to that next.
The Big Show with Andy and Brendan continues next on your total sports station, KTGR.
Hy-Vee invites you to the second annual Sip and Savor event, benefiting the Food Bank for Central and Northeast Missouri, February 21st at the Northeast Events Center in Columbia, with unlimited tastings of spirits, wine, craft beer, food, and a chance to buy some of the rarest bourbon in the country. Weller, E.H. Taylor, the infamous Pappy Van Winkle, and more. Tickets are just $70. Stop by the liquor department at any of your Columbia Hy-Vees to get yours today. February 21st. Sip, sample, and support a great cause. Only from Columbia Hy-Vee.
As we get into the heart of basketball season, 1851 Underground Tap and Grill wants to remind you whether you need a place to grab a bite after a local high school or college game, or you want to plop down with some friends and watch some of that college conference action on TV, they've got a spot for you. Your favorite cold beer or cocktail and delicious appetizer or dinner options on the menu. Check them out on Facebook or at 1851underground.com. It's no secret that it is underground. 1851 Underground Tap and Grill in the historic Brick District, downtown Fulton.
You're a merchant of all things that are man. Firearms, fishing, cars, food, sports. Yeah, the kind of stuff every man always needs more of. So show it off at the Mecca of Man. The 2026 Como Man Show, Saturday, March 14th at the Northeast Events Center where the Boone County Fair is held. It's the best and most fun way to show every man they need what you got. Seriously, by showing them. Bring your best stuff, show it off, and have a blast. For more info on being a vendor at the Man Show, go to comomanshow.com.
Okay, the limb is hanging over the driveway. I need this pruned.
Oh, call the electrician.
An electrician?
Yeah, or maybe your HVAC guy.
You've officially lost it. I need an expert in the right field.
Fine. Call that lawn company. They mow and prune.
Yeah, they also scalped your yard last summer.
When it comes to trees, trust the experts who actually know trees. Ones that are trained and educated for pruning, planting, and removals done right. Call Eric at Advanced Tree Solutions, your tree's best friend. AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com. Step into a real-life snow globe with Zimmer Communications and Colette Travel on this 9-day European vacation. Stroll Prague, Dresden, Vienna, and Budapest. From castles and cathedrals to twinkling market stalls. Sip warm Glühwein, shop handcrafted gifts, and even visit a family-run candy workshop. Learn more by joining us in Colette Travel Tuesday, March 17th at 5:30 at Courtyard Marriott Columbia on Lamone Industrial Boulevard. RSVP today at ZimmerCommunications.com.
Would you care for some nightmare fuel? It's 5 a.m., and while you're still shaking off the cobwebs from the previous night's snooze, something else is lurking in another web. Time for a shower. Reach down to start the water, and it's a spider. 8 eyes watching you, and now 8 legs coming right for you. You know what you need? 5 stars. Not like throwing stars, although to be fair, you'd use just about anything to kill that dastardly shower spider. All you need is a 5-star service plan from Steve's Pest Control. Steve scares the life out of pests. Oh, who are we kidding? Steve and his team don't scare them, they kill them. All of them. And because your fear of spiders, wasps, termites, and other insects is very real, Steve's is here to let you know that he and his team are real too. They're not some corporate conglomerate. They're legendary, local, and 100% real.
Hi, I'm Steve with Steve's Pest Control. We're going to solve your pest problem. I guarantee it.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
Your daily fix of local sports lives here. This is The Big Show on KTGR.
Well, thanks for texting in. Thanks for participating. We have our winners now for 2 tickets to the Rootin' Tootin' Chili Cook-Off this Saturday at the Wyndham Executive Center, 2 to 6 p.m. The trivia question was, who is Mizzou men's basketball's current leader in total assists? Just this year's team. Who leads the team in assists? Do you have a guess, Brendan?
Leads the team in assists. My first guess would probably be wrong, because I would say T.O. Barrett, and I don't know that he's played enough. Mark Mitchell's logging some assists as well. I'm going to say T.O. Barrett and move on with the show. I didn't cheat, obviously, because I'm stumped by the question.
You are incorrect. It is not T.O. Barrett. It is Mark Mitchell, who leads the team in assists. He has 86 on the year. Second is actually Anthony Robinson. He's right behind.
Okay.
But again, it's the accumulation is what matters there. It's like T.O. Barrett's probably working up to a spot where, like, per minute, he's probably a little more effective in those. But Yeah, total assists on the year, it is Mark Mitchell. And congrats to Cameron and Sam, who were the first two to text in the correct answer for that. So they get 2 tickets to the Rootin' Tootin' Chili Cook-Off this weekend. Yeah, and look, it honestly, like, it kind of makes sense to the point where, like, Mizzou's best offense, when they are at their best, Mark Mitchell's getting a touch pretty much every possession.
Yeah.
And he's either finishing the play, it's a punch play designed for him, and he takes it to the rack, he finishes, and he draws a foul and he gets to the line. Or defense collapses and he finds the open man. He's a great passer. It's an underrated part of his game, and he's been able to showcase that a lot. And Mizzou has needed it at times. So,
yeah.
But yeah, he currently leads the team in total assists. Would you like it to be a point guard? Ideally, sure. But
well, you've basically had 2 starting point guards.
Yeah.
One started the first half and one is starting the second half. Barrett's either got 67 or 68 assists. I don't know which. I just took how many games he's played and multiplied it by the 2.7 that ESPN says he's averaging.
Gotcha.
So he's in that range. And I think he might even be able to challenge for that. But Mark Mitchell is still racking up assists every game. So maybe not. But yeah, I think that's the reason that it's not the point guard.
Teal Barrett is at 67 assists.
Yeah.
And again, Anthony Robinson's at 84 and Mark Mitchell's at 86. And so those are the 3 in the clubhouse that lead the most for Mizzou in that category. But yeah, I mean, it's not a setup that is conventional, obviously, but it's how Mizzou has been able to get to, I think, some of its best action this year, with Mark Mitchell being one of the focal points on offense. That means he's also going to be able to find the open guy and help Mizzou's offense in that way. So we'll see if that continues. But again, we'll have more trivia questions tomorrow and Thursday. More chances for you to win some Rootin' Tootin' Chili Cook-Off tickets. So be listening at 5:20 both tomorrow and on Thursday for your chances to win those.
And what did you say, Mitchell? Total assists, the number was 80. Was
86.
So he's getting an assist about every 9.5 minutes on the floor, and Barrett's a little bit closer to every 8 minutes. He's on the floor. So yeah, from that perspective, he is doing what you want to see him do as a point guard, I think, or at least a little bit closer to it. And we'll see how he finishes.
Yeah, so we'll look to see how Mizzou situates it, again, with their short rotation and what they'll need to do for the final 6 games. We'll obviously talk more about their game tomorrow against Vanderbilt at 8 o'clock here on the Big Show KTGR and the KTGR app. We have Brian Smith joining us at 5:45. In the meantime, more baseball talk. It seems that we're going to start to really find out how this ABS challenge system will be affecting the experience, right? Not only for the players, but maybe for us watching. There's been the TV networks are kind of making it clear as to what you can expect. I think most of them are going to be taking away the strike zone that they overlay over the plate from the straight on view. They're going to take that away, or maybe they don't take it away, but they don't like color in the dot.
It's not as prominent.
Indicates a strike. Yeah.
Right. In terms of whether it's a ball or a strike, they're not going to be the arbiters calling it out ahead of time, which is kind of like the reasoning behind that, I think, is a little bit odd. I guess on the one hand, you could say, well, what if the teams could benefit from it? But there's a delay. You have to, as the batter, tap the helmet instantaneously. You can't, like, this can't come from the dugout. So that would not be a reason that I think should hold up. I've seen it described that way by in various, articles, but I don't think that makes any sense. There is an element of like, you're going to piss people off.
Yeah.
If you are declaring as the broadcast that this is one way or the other, and then you're wrong because a play gets challenged and the fan goes, oh, we've got it in the bag. My broadcast already said it was a strike, and then it's not. Like, that's probably to avoid those inconsistencies. You blur the lines and you say, we're not responsible for what they call. This is an estimation, take it or leave it, and kind of take it with that approach.
Yeah. And they'll be some of those broadcasts are on a 9-second delay now, so that dugouts can't watch it in real time and say, oh yeah, do it. They showed it was a strike. Say that it's a strike, because either the pitcher, the hitter, or the catcher, you have to eliminate as much as possible any chances of them getting tipped off to the fact that the umpire might be wrong.
Yeah.
In that other sense, how many times will we see it get utilized in huge spots? Like, that's going to be a feeling out process, I think, for a lot of teams. Who do you trust the most to challenge a pitch when you only have a few and the whole team has to share them, right? Like, you can't just reserve them just for the pitching staff or reserve them just for the hitters. You have to really trust the player that is in that situation and wants to say, yeah, I want to challenge this immediately. That's an interesting feeling out process for teams and managers, I think, now. And it's interesting.
Ollie was asked a little bit about it earlier this week, and he kind of implied there's going to be, this aspect of that there will be guys who they do maybe a little bit more want to be looking to use it, and guys who maybe don't. And there will probably be guys who don't really want to be as forward as to be the guinea pigs for it, and there will be those who do want that heat. And then I think as time goes along, everybody will get a little bit more comfortable with it. Where if you're a batter in a situation where you know what you saw and you need it, your team needs it in a big spot, then but you've got to. It'll be something that I think happens with regularity. You'll see it every game, and you'll probably see teams come close to maxing it out in every game, or at least go into the very end with having still one in their pocket if they need it in those close games.
Mm-hmm.
And, the degree to which it is successful for a given player is probably how they'll go, okay, I blew that one, and they'll get razzed by their teammates, and that'll probably make them think twice the next time. But I think, it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun to see as an aspect of it and how it keeps umpires honest, because if you're the umpire that keeps getting it wrong and players keep nailing it against you, then, you'll have to kind of, you got to own that. You got to wear that. You can't hide from it anymore the way you could if it was just a verbal argument and you say, well, I'm the umpire, I'm in charge, so you're out of here. That's not the way it's going to go down this year.
I find it also interesting, that was hearing on a show earlier today here on KTGR, Chris Sale gave some sound, and he said, I'm not challenging a pitch. I'm not doing it. He's just staying out of it entirely. Not going to challenge a pitch.
But now is he going to tell his catcher not to? Because his catcher could. On his behalf. And I think that is a way that teams might handle it and say, unless it's a pitcher that is like a veteran and really wants to say, let's let your catcher decide, because there's the emotions a little bit more removed. You're part of that tandem and you want that call too. But I think maybe the ability to be objective is a little bit more present with the catchers. And that might be a thing to ask managers about. Is that a protocol for y'all, or is it going to vary pitcher to pitcher, which I think it will. But you may see more of that of pitchers going, I don't want to get into a headspace where I'm thinking about, let that be somebody else, and the rule allows for it to be somebody else. And so I think catchers and batters should really largely be who is making those calls. Yeah.
I think you're right. Going to be interesting to see how they situate it and how different teams strategize around it. How do you feel about ABS, the challenge system, being introduced for balls and strikes here in Major League Baseball this year? 875-KTGR. Brian Smith of Mizzou Wrestling talks about the Tigers defeating Oklahoma on Senior Day last week. That's next.
Now, your local Sports Center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Mizzou baseball underway now. Tigers are in Boca Raton, Florida, taking on Florida Atlantic in a true road game. Mizzou is 2-1 to start the 2026 season. Won 2 out of 3 in Fort Myers against Mount St. Mary's. Finished it with a 34-run performance on Sunday. You can flip on the KTGR app right now to hear coverage of Mizzou baseball at Florida Atlantic. Meanwhile, Mizzou Arena will be busy the rest of this week. Tiger men's basketball taking on Vanderbilt, ranked number 19, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Meanwhile, Mizzou women's basketball the very next night will host Auburn at 6:30 on Thursday. And Mizzou gymnastics will populate Mizzou Arena for a quad meet beginning at 6 o'clock on Friday. And tune in tonight for high school basketball action. Rockbridge and Hickman taking on each other in boys basketball, renewing the Providence Bowl rivalry. You can hear it exclusively on KTGR's YouTube and Facebook pages. Tiger Talk you can hear on KTGR once we're done here on The Big Show. ABC 17 Storm Track forecast with Billiards on Broadway, home to fresh and patty burgers, fresh cut fries, and a long list of Missouri beers on tap. Billiards on Broadway, downtown Columbia.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. I'm tracking mostly cloudy skies this evening with temperatures remaining in the lower 50s. Tomorrow we'll see clearing skies. We're going to be rising back up into the upper 60s to low 70s with sunshine, elevated fire risk with low relative humidity and strong winds throughout the day. Thursday, a front moves through early in the morning with temperatures rising into the 60s, falling throughout the day. I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
ride home, you've got the Big Show on KTGR.
We're back here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Andy Humphrey here. A good senior day win last week for Mizzou Wrestling as the Tigers took down Oklahoma. Number 17 Mizzou Wrestling taking down number 16 Oklahoma in that matchup, and a great way to send out the seniors in the final dual meet at the Hearn Center. And here to talk with us about it, Brian Smith, the head coach of Mizzou Wrestling, here on the Big Show. So, Coach, I know you're chasing a Big 12 title eventually, but it's good to know that you're SEC champions now with beating Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, I guess, yes. It just means more. We got the big win over OU, so yes.
For sure. How that meet played out, it seemed that you got off to a really good start with some of your lighter weights setting the tone pretty well to get to some of the guys that have really been wrestling well for you on the back half. What did it take to take down that type of Oklahoma team?
Well, getting wins out of our two seniors, Josh Edmond and Teague Travis, in the earlier matches, and lost a tough one at 25 in overtime. If we get that, I felt like we were in control of the duel, and losing it was tough. But then Gage Walker came through, Josh and Teague, and then we just went on a roll after that with winning, I think, starting with Josh, 5 straight matches and put the duel away, which was good.
Yeah, and certainly to see those types of momentum matches for some of your lighter weights to set that tone. I know that the back half has been really strong for you all season long, but what do you want to see now as those guys that come up earlier for you get some momentum as they go into this last dual meet here?
Well, it's tougher competition. Iowa State's like the 3rd or 4th best dual team in the country. They're really good, and every matchup is going to be an important matchup, but they're really good. They're all ranked. Shoot, they have about 3 or 4 guys ranked in the top 5, and the rest of them are close to top 10. So it's a very challenging match, but it's a great opportunity for our guys to, go on in a hostile environment. They'll have a packed house for their senior day, and getting after it and pulling some upsets and getting wins where we're supposed to win. We can win some matches, and then that puts us with the opportunity to pull an upset. And these guys have been wrestling well. I think we've won 4 straight dual meets now, so they're excited about it.
Brian Smith, Mizzou Wrestling coach here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. And certainly the bonus points could really come into play there when you go up against a team like that. But this past week, with Teague Travis getting his major decision, I mean, the way that Cam Steed and Aiden Sinclair, no surprise that they were able to get to a tech fall there. Just how have you seen your wrestlers stay aggressive in those areas here recently when, there will come a time where it becomes even more important here once you get to the Big 12 championship soon?
Yeah, anytime you have guys that are scoring bonus points, that helps the team. And for those, Cam and Aiden have been so consistent with that, getting these bonus points, even Teague. That it also, when you're getting tech falls, you're shortening how long you have to wrestle. Aiden, I think, only wrestled 2 minutes. And Cam was ended it in the second period. So it's important. They don't have to wrestle as much. They get off the mat and stay healthy. Those are important things at this time of the year. And when we get to the Big 12 tournament, bonus points can definitely separate teams. And we need our guys focused on that, obviously getting the wins and advancing. But every time you can score bonus points, it's separating from other teams.
Certainly. And even though there will be matches where they're a little more tight, it's still important to see guys getting wins there. What did you see from guys like Gage Walker, who was in a battle with his opponent over the weekend at 133, and then also Jake Conway being able to get a close decision, but in his favor? Guys that obviously are up-and-comers for you, but how have you seen them wrestle here recently?
They're just learning how to battle. There were some tough matches. Gage was in control of it, but then kind of went on the defensive mode, and we didn't like that. And I know he doesn't either, but he's just got to improve at that, and he's working on that in the practice room. Jay Conway was the same thing, came out, scored early, and then got shut down a little bit, but, put the match away. but I know when he walked off, he was a little frustrated with himself that he didn't finish a few of those takedowns that he had the opportunity. But the good thing is they're finding ways to win. They're young in the lineup, and they're getting better and better, and we just need that. We need those guys to just keep getting better and advancing. And with the really solid guys like Steed and Sinclair and Edmond, and even Evan Bates didn't have a great night, but he's still ranked top 10 in the country. We need some other guys to step up with those guys to make us a better team.
Brian Smith, Mizzou wrestling coach here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. And yeah, you talk about some of those stronger guys you have in the lineup and how important it'll be to go up against Iowa State and take the matches that maybe when you look at the rankings that you're supposed to take. But then as you have this type of test right before the Big 12s, Iowa State number 4 in the country as it stands now, how do you kind of size up the test right afterwards? You're going to be preparing for the Big 12 championships and probably face some of those guys again right away.
Well, you approach it kind of like this is a quarterfinal or semifinal or even a finals match at the Big 12. So it's a really good measuring stick to see where we are, because Iowa State and Okie State are the two favorites to win the conference right now. They're both really good, ranked 3rd and 4th in the country. And so going in, we wrestled tight matches against Oklahoma State, but we didn't win. We won one match. So now going into Iowa State, I want to see us improve. We've had a month since that duel. We've gotten some big wins since that duel. Now we're going into Iowa State. Let's go compete at a higher level, and that's what we're looking for.
Certainly so, as you get set to take on Iowa State, but also to be able to have that type of moment for your senior wrestlers this past Thursday. I know a great crowd on hand to support them, and I know they wrestled very well in their matches to be able to send out the right way. What did it mean for you to have that collection of wrestlers this year? Again, guys that you've brought up in your program, but also some that maybe were here for a year but wanted to commit to you and finish out their career with you.
It's really important because they're all living Tiger style and doing the right things. So the good thing is that they committed to the program. Like a kid like Josh Edmond, this is his 6th year. So he's been with us for 6 years. And there were some other guys that didn't make the lineup, but were with us 4 and 5 years and then just gave us so much and were great teammates in the practice room and filling in at times when we needed them, when people were sick or injured, and committing to a program that they love. And I think that's important. The other thing it told me is there were 10 of them, and we have a 30-man roster cap that a third of my team is graduating, that we got to get busy recruiting. So we need a few more guys to get in to fill our roster up. So that's definitely on the back of our minds right after season, getting a couple more signees.
For sure. It never stops. And that's certainly the case in college wrestling as we get closer to the postseason here. But Mizzou has one more regular season dual meet to deal with. They go to Ames to take on number 4 Iowa State this Sunday at 2:00 to finish out the regular year. And then in 2 weeks after that, the Big 12 championships over in Tulsa for Tiger Style Wrestling. Great to catch up with Brian Smith, the head coach of Mizzou Wrestling, here on the Big Show KTGR. Coach, congrats on the win last week. Safe travels over to Iowa this weekend, and we'll talk again soon.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Andy.
It's the Big Show on KTGR and the KTGR app. That will be a monster way for Mizzou to finish out the regular season. Quite a test to go up against the Cyclones. If they come away with a road win there, that would be quite impressive. We'll see how they do, though, as they try to prepare as well as possible for the Big 12 championships, which will be in a couple of weeks. And then 2 weeks after that, the NCAA championships. And the way that it's shaping up, Mizzou, I mean, they're still in the mid-teens as far as where the rankings are. Maybe they can creep up into the top 10, maybe close to a team trophy territory. They'll at least have a few chances to get some individual All-Americans at the NCAA championships here in about a month. So we'll see how they keep marching toward that point, how close they can get to it, and we'll see how Mizzou Wrestling does this weekend as the Tigers take on Iowa State on the road to finish out the regular season. Thanks for joining us here today. Thanks also to the injury expert, Will Carroll, for coming on and chatting with us last hour. You can hear both conversations on the KTGR app very soon. Tiger Talk is coming up next. Mizzou women's basketball coach Kelly Harper at 6 o'clock, and then Mizzou men's hoops coach Dennis Gates at 7. You can also turn on the KTGR app to hear Mizzou baseball underway right now. Tigers are at Florida Atlantic, so you can stream there. And one other thing, you can also tune in to high school basketball tonight exclusively on our KTGR YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. So if you're watching the big show right now on either of those platforms, well, just keep your page open. We'll have high school hoops on that exact same spot in about an hour or so. The Providence Bowl rivalry in boys basketball between Rockbridge and Hickman is tonight. We're excited to bring you that. And again, tune in for our audio-only broadcast on YouTube and Facebook for that at around 7:15 or so is when we tentatively plan to start our broadcast for it. So a lot happening tonight. A lot of things that you can tune into on KTGR, either on the radio or online. So go and check it all out. Mizzou baseball, high school basketball, and Tiger Talk coming up on the radio here in just a little bit. Thanks for joining us today. We're back at 4 tomorrow. He's Brendan. I'm Andy. We're done for now.